Welcome to another episode of Anso's Hispanic Heritage Month Member in the Highlight. Today we have with us Alfonso Ramos, United States Marine Corps. Welcome, Alfonso. How are you doing tonight?
Buenas tardes. Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here. An honor to spend some time with you today here, sir.
Awesome. All right. So the theme for this year, Alfonso, is for Hispanic Heritage Month is Esperanza, a celebration of Hispanic heritage and hope. And I'm glad that you're here. Hispanic Star, Marine Corps superstar. You've got a long career. I want to talk first about your Hispanic heritage. Tell me a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, your heritage, ethnic and cultural background, and where you went to high school and college.
Yes, I have a quite interesting path. I grew up as part of a migrant and farm working family. So to be honest, my childhood was a lot, and I would compare it to almost a military brat kind of lifestyle, with the only difference being that my parents didn't deploy. But we went up and down the West Coast, as far south as Delano, California, which is where I was born, and as far north as Montana. And we picked anything from cherries, asparagus, apples, oranges, right? But I'm grateful to this day that for some reason we always ended back at a town called Kingsburg, California, Fresno County. And it was this brick home that I still remember to this day. We were very poor, a very, very poor family. The shoes and the clothes that I would start out the year with early on is what I would finish the school year with. But those are some of the happiest days of my life to this day, because we didn't expect much. Really what we had was just each other's love. Unfortunately, from there, we ended up moving to Yakima County, Washington State. I'm from a little town called Outlook, right side out of another city called Sunnyside. A lot of Hispanics in that community. It's about honestly 95% Hispanics in Washington, there in Yakima County. And we moved there because I had a sister who died from leukemia when I was about 12 years old. Little did I know that, and I didn't find this out until probably a couple years ago while I was pursuing my education, was that in the mid 80s, there was a lot of families, Hispanics, farm working families, who were having kids with deformities or diseases. And a lot of it had to do with the pesticides that they would use there in the farm. But yeah, we ended up there in Yakima County, and that was a challenge. That was a challenge that I didn't expect. But what I didn't know in the early 90s is that there was a big suicidal gang movement. And my parents, being very traditional, didn't know anything about that. But unfortunately, I grew up in the streets for about 5 to 6 years, which is before I joined the Marine Corps. That's a little bit about me. As far as my heritage, I have a little surprise for you. So to me, you can really wrap up my Mexican Hispanic heritage in really 3 things. Number 1, food, right? So here today, I hope you can see them. I have a carne asada torta, right? And then I also have a carnitas taco. So the food, no matter where I went and the time of the day, if you were at somebody's house or you're just stopping by to visit, the first thing after you're given the appropriate greeting of the day is always, "Are you hungry? ¿Tienes hambre? Ahorita te preparo algo. I will make you something." And even if you said, "Hey, I'm not hungry, I just got done eating," you're eating again, right? And I would say the second thing of my heritage is music. right? Various forms of music, and this one particular is mariachi, right? Very traditional Mexican folklore kind of type of music. And I would say the third thing that makes up my Hispanic heritage is family. But that's my Hispanic heritage, and my parents are from Michoacan, Mexico. I do have a sister that was born in Mexico City. Thankfully, I don't know, somewhere in that process, I was born in California. But yeah, that's a little bit about me, my heritage, and my ethnicity.
Wow, hermano, that's inspirational. You know, I mean, that's a story about resilience, right? It's about desire, that esperanza, that hope that we're celebrating this year. You know, you had all that and you made it work despite all the hardship and all the difficulties. That's amazing. That's an amazing story. So when did you join the Marine Corps, and what drove you to serve, to join the Marines?
I would just, before I answer that, I want to say, sir, that my parents came to this country based off purely and solely esperanza, hope. And their only hope was to give their children a better life than they had. That's it. And, they turned to making a living. And unfortunately, as a undocumented alien at that point, I mean, the only place you're going to find work is in the produce industry. But I'm very thankful because it gave me the character that I have, and I would not change anything to this day, because I take my work ethic, I base it straight off of how I was raised. So I don't think I would have the work ethic that I have today if it wasn't for that experience. Joining the Corps, it was a blessing. There is no other way for me to explain how I ended up serving in the Marine Corps for 22 and a half years and making it to the rank of Sergeant Major. But the recruiters were in high school one day, and they were looking for my friend. And believe it or not, I was also a 3-time senior. So this, I think, was my second stint as a senior. And my friends, just walking around with my friends in the hall, the recruiters came to see him. They had an appointment with him, and they seen that I was with him, and they said, "Hey, you want to take a quick test?" And I was like, "Sure." And a couple days later, they contacted me again, and then be like, "You scored better than your friend. Have you ever thought about joining the Marine Corps?" And I didn't know my left from my right, left face, right face salute. I didn't know nothing. Had never considered the military. But believe it or not, from that day that I took my practice exam, I was in boot camp, I believe, about a year after that. Eventually, I had to graduate from high school. And then next thing you know, I'm in boot camp learning what left face and right face is.
That's incredible, man. And so, okay, you're in the Marines. You're a Sergeant Major. What do you do? What does a Sergeant Major do? Let's talk a little bit about your work.
You learn a lot about leadership. I would say my number one priority is to be an advisor to the commander on all things pertaining to the morale, welfare, discipline of the enlisted Marines, as well as the efficiency of the command. But where I find the most purpose and the most meaning in what I do is serving others, servant leadership, right? And just through an empathetic approach, right? As you can see, I just shared with you some details of my life. And sometimes what the younger generation doesn't see is the fact that we also, right? We also live and we struggle and we face challenges just like they have. But just that upbringing that I had allows me in or it's a method for me to better to understand and connect with the younger generation, and gives me the patience to hear them out and further understand them, so I can get them on the road and they can continue being lethal, right? Because it's all about lethality. The number one purpose of our forces is to win our nation's battles. Right? And I would say one of the other ones is to return a better product to society than what we receive. So that's what I find myself doing a lot these days, is just talking with the young Marines, helping them through their career. And what I think we miss a lot is helping them with their life, right? Helping them understand what life is, because they're still learning life's lessons. They're still maturing, and they still need a lot of direction.
Wow. You just described the purpose of Anso, right? Because that's what we do also. We take our young enlisted men and women, our officers, and we provide that mentorship, that support that they need to help them to achieve their highest potentials. You know, just like the Marine Corps, the Navy, and the Coast Guard, we're all trying to take care of our people. I think you're an amazing leader. You've been doing some great things, especially for Anso. You're our Marine Corps representative, carrying that, you know, that standard where we need it to go, and setting the right example. You definitely are a Hispanic Star, my friend. So speaking of Anso, when and why did you join Anso? How did you come about our organization?
Great question. So I'm currently in the process of retiring out of the Marine Corps. However, retired but not expired. And I would say that as I was transitioning, because the Marine Corps, what it did for me is not only did it provide me an opportunity to excel, it gave me the life that I have today. Everything that I have, to be honest, I owe it to the Marine Corps and my mom's prayers. Because my mom to this day still prays for her children every night. But the reason I decided to join Anso is because as I departed the Marine Corps, what I was looking for is just continuing on a path of purpose, and most importantly, belonging. And I think, I know we've heard a lot of statistics, right, with 22 or 24 a day, as far as suicides in the military, whether it's service members or veterans. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that once they transition out of the service, besides PTS, is the fact that they don't have nowhere to go that they feel that understands them, that gives them that same sense of familia, that same sense of belonging, of purpose, right? So there's a couple other organizations that I align myself to. Anso is one of them. The other one is Latinos Outdoor, because I like to be outside. So I am an outings leader in that organization. And then the last one is Make-A-Wish Foundation. So I'm a wish granter. What that means is that I help young kids with diseases come up with their wish on what they want to do with that foundation. So I'm very humbled to be a part of all those three.
That's awesome. And again, what an example. You know, as we talked about earlier, the theme for this year is Esperanza and Hope. And you gave me a lot of different things on hope and Esperanza and how that's carried you and your family through. You know, to me, it brings up a lot of different thoughts and a lot of different ideas and a lot of different feelings. So, you know, as we look at celebrating hope, what does it mean to you to celebrate hope? And what are your hopes for this year or the future? As you leave the Marine Corps here, what are you thinking about?
I think I would say I'm thankful again for my mom. She's my foundation. Everything that I have done, I really trace it back to just her never giving up on her own children. Even when we thought coming up, when we were starting to give up on ourselves, she never gave up on us. It's almost like a leader in any of the services, right? We try to guide our Marine sailors and Coast Guardsmen to the best extent possible. Sometimes they may not see the end result. Like, they may not see how that benefits them, but at the end of the day, we use our wisdom to guide them. But the reason I mention that is I think I get my ambition from her. I am a extremely ambitious individual, but what I would say is hope is everything to me. And I think what I've been thinking of lately is putting back the kind in humankind. Is how can we as Americans, and I know some of us are hyphenated, right? Mexican American, African American. I understand that. But one thing that we do have in two things that we have in common is that we're all human and we're all American, right? So what I hope to do is start developing programs or taking advantage of programs that are already out there to continue loving one another. You know, put out there is that what we need in our society is love. Our purpose, I would say, as created beings, is love and be loved. That's all our purpose. We want to love somebody and we want to be loved. We are neurobiologically, I think, wired like that, right? So that's why I want to, put kind back into humankind. And sometimes some of you may be asking yourselves, well, what does that mean? What can I do to help? Sometimes all you need, and it's very simple, a smile. A smile goes a long way, and it can brighten up the day of someone maybe going through a tough time, and they just see your smile, and that's what they needed to get over that hump. And if you're just not those smiling type, a hand. Give somebody a helping hand, and I promise you that they will appreciate it. I would not be here right now if it wasn't for the tribe that helped me and got me where I was at, and I'm very, very thankful for that. But I hope that together, through Anso or another, through Anso, put the kind back into humankind.
Amen, brother. Amen, man. Preach it. I love it. I love it. Love, for me, it's love, dignity, and respect. But absolutely bringing kindness back, putting that into humankind. We are all human. Thank you, Alfonso. That was amazing. So as we close this out, you've left me with so much to think about, and you've given me hope, and you've given me, that feeling that yes, we can. We're going to do it. We're going to make it, because there are people out there that are just like you, right? True role models, true mentors, and who care deeply about this country, about our people. So thank you. Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing to our Anso familia, all the young men and women out there of Hispanic heritage in our services, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, in Merchant Marines, and Navy especially, but the Air Force, the Army, those guys are out there too.
So to our sea services, right, to our sister services, and since this is going to go on YouTube, to the world, I would say that, community, or what we like to say, comunidad, is the foundation of who we are and what we belong to. I have always found it very difficult to celebrate my ethnicity, my heritage, throughout my 22 and a half years in the Marine Corps. But what I will tell you is that no matter where you go, whether it's in CONUS or OCONUS, right, wherever we can take a gun, right, is that you can find a community, right, on top of the core values that each service represents. You can find a community that will understand you, that will take care of you, and that will love you, right? And to me, that's what Anso will do for you.